Well, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat today about your retirement planning. The purpose of today's meeting is we call it a discovery meeting. In reality, it's not to roll up our sleeves and start digging in. It's an opportunity for us to tell you a bit about ourselves, what we do for clients, what we do well, and give you a bit about how we see the world and how things are going to play out. Equally, it gives you a chance to ask some questions about our service, but we won't in any way, shape or form try to deep dive too much into your personal needs at this stage. Okay. So, retirement planning, we have what we call a value promise. Our value promise, we're in the business of peace of mind. That's the business we're in. We could talk about markets, we could talk about this and talk about that. There's only one thing we want to achieve for clients, and that is making sure that the money doesn't run out. That's the business we're in, and that's where my mind's coming from. Okay. There's a couple of things that I probably want to get out of my head and onto the board here behind us. I think it's important for you to understand what we think, the type of clients we deal with, and what we do well. One of the things, and it's one of my favourite sayings in this industry, is that complexity sells, but simplicity works. People are going to want to complex your life up to buggery. They really will. They'll try to talk about investments and self-managed funds and all this sort of stuff, when at the end of the day, there's only one role to play in this, and that is making sure the money doesn't run out. So the simpler we can keep things, the better. Easier for you to understand, easier for me to understand. One of the other things that I really want to get out on the table today, and at this stage, I don't know if it's going to be relevant to your circumstances at all, but I really want to get it out of my head and onto the board. So if you don't mind,
yep.
I just want to throw this up. So I call it the tale of two retirements. What we have is a couple, and these are important considerations. A couple is treated differently than a single. A homeowner is treated differently than someone who's renting, and this couple are of age pension age. But by and large, pretty normal couple, living in Australia, both retired. So couple number one and couple number two. Couple number one has a bucket of money, and for simplicity purposes, I talk about buckets and taps. So a bucket of money, easy to understand, and a tap on it dripping out the amount of income that you need to live what we call a really comfortable retirement in Australia today. Now couple number one have got $1 million in their bucket. Good for them. That's a good lot of money, and let's put some context around that. The average couple retire today with their own home and $188,000 of retirement savings. So couple number one, not very normal, but that's okay. Couple number one tell us, and we actually believe this as well, that they need about $1,000 a week to live on. Okay, that works out beautifully because of the one complex thing I want you to understand today is what we call the safe drawdown rate. Bit of jargon there, but if a client draws down equivalent to 5% of their money per year to live on, we believe that money, hand on heart, will last forever. Well managed and everything else. So I'll do the math for you. That's about 50 grand a year. So couple number one, got a good bucket of money. We think it'll last forever based on their drawdown need, and they're living on about $1,000 a week, which we believe for their milk and bread and drapes and rego and all the normal living needs is quite a good standard of living. Okay. The news for you is that not everybody has $1 million. Okay. So couple number two, we'll call them a bit more normal. Couple number two have got $300,000 in their retirement bucket. And we have to apply our normal discipline though. They can only draw down the rate of 5% a year. Otherwise the money will run out. Now, it's important to note that people can draw down whatever they like. Okay. They might say, look, we really want to draw 10% out per year. And that's okay, it's their money. But if they're going to do something like that, we need to then tell them, it's about the time your money will run out. And it's well short of when you're going to run out, okay? So 5% is what the safe drawdown rate is. And again, I'll do the math. That's $15,000 a year, okay? And the question I put to you is, which couple would you rather be? Everybody's going to choose the couple on the left, but I want to layer a little bit more information on top of that. And that is, couple number two get a full age pension. With that sort of money, they get a full age pension of $35,000 a year, and that comes with a pension concession card worth about $3,000 a year. The question now is, which couple would you rather be? It's a trick question because the answer is that one every time, okay? But this is just not a bad place to be. As I sit here today, I don't know whether that means anything to you, has any context to your personal situation, but I think it's just interesting, and it's probably a good basis for where we can start that. I think if we talked about the overarching thing that I stand for and that I get out of bed for in the morning that I'm really motivated to do, and that is to provide people with peace of mind and independence and dignity in retirement. That's really what I want to do. There's other things that happen, but at the end of the day, we want people to have dignity in retirement, sufficient income to maintain a good standard of living, and that the money is not going to run out. So that's what we do. I want to talk, I suppose I want to talk a little bit about the future as well. And this is us creating, if you like, a need for a financial advisor in your life. And the word I want to use, maybe one or two, but I want to use change or disruption. And the best example of change and disruption that I can provide for you would be, I think if someone owned a set of taxi plates 20 years ago, they're probably worth $300,000 to $350,000 as a set 20 years ago. Today, they'd be lucky to be worth $3,000. So things can change. The government are making all sorts of noise. The government frighten me. Let me tell you about the three things that keep me awake at night. It's important to know. One is people are living longer and longer. And many people, if they're not careful, well, it doesn't matter what they do, they could outlive their money. They're likely to. They're just living longer and longer. Two, the cost of living continues to go up and up, and that's going to keep going. And the third one, and the one that we alluded to there, was the government want to help us less and less. So we're fighting. Living longer, cost of living going up, less benefits from the government. It's a real challenge to get this right. Okay, there's not a lot of room for error in any way, shape or form. The level of change and disruption that's going to come in your life in the next 5, 10 years will overwhelm you. And that's the reason why we're in people's lives, and that's the reason why in 20 years I've never had a client sack me yet. It's because of what we call the unknown unknowns. Okay, things are going to change. They're going to be very difficult to handle. The government are making all sorts of noise about wanting to change the way retirement incomes are structured. Chances of you surviving that without getting onto the ledge and potentially jumping off or blowing up your own plan, the chances of you surviving without a trusted advisor, frankly, are pretty low. So we implore you that when you're looking for an advisor, if not us, that's okay, but simply keep looking and find someone you feel you can work with and that you can have what we call continuity of advice. You don't want to be chopping and changing from advisor to advisor, okay? So they're the sort of things that we work with clients on. I don't know whether those numbers are totally relevant to you, but you'll get some context as to the type of clients. I like working in this space. That's the space I like working in. The other thing is we charge, let me give you the elephant in the room if you like, is pricing. And I wanted to talk about how we have an upfront fee and an ongoing cost. An upfront fee is agreed to before we provide you with advice. It's $4,280. Initially that might sound like a lot of money, but there are so many things that we can demonstrate to you before you commit to that, how we can save you that level of money many times over, okay? And then there's the optional ongoing, if you want your advisor to continue to be in your life, which I think you'll need, everyone does, that's $3,000 a year. And again, before we commit to any of that, we can demonstrate how that can be served to you many times back over and over.